Hey, this is Jaryd Krause, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And in this episode, I'm speaking with Ilana Wechsler from teachtraffic.com. Now, Ilana's been all in on paid ads for about 7 to 8 years and spent well over $30 million in acquiring paid traffic for the websites she's been helping clients with and hers as well. And this episode's so good. It's so jam-packed with great marketing talk. We talk about how to do paid ads for content websites, where most people with content websites don't actually use ads. We talk about the power of using that. We also talk about how important remarketing is and why that should be your first step and your introduction to starting ads with pixels and tags and all that sort of fun stuff. We then talk about how to combine email marketing with paid ads on Facebook, which is such a cool strategy. We also talk about the intention of why people are on different platforms like Facebook and Google and why people will buy or get frustrated or, take an action relating to that specific platform. And lastly, we talk about the top 3 mistakes people make with Facebook ads. And then we also talk about top 3 mistakes people make with Google ads. So there's so much jam packed into this episode. It is an amazing episode and I'm sure you're going to love it. Now, before we get stuck in, I want to tell you that this podcast is not the only way I can help you with free content. I have my due diligence framework updated and revised, the 2.0 version, which everybody's been raving about. And it will actually help you with knowing what to look out for when buying a website, including questions to ask the seller and everything you need to get started buying a website business. So if you want that, go to my site, buyingonlinebusinesses.com/free resources. And on that page, you'll see a bunch of other free resources that you can check out too. Now let's get started. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. Today we have the wonderful Ilana Wechsler, and we're just going to jump straight into it, Ilana. We probably should have hit the record button a little bit earlier, and you said, all right, let's save it, let's do it now. But I'm really excited for our chat. We had a chat yesterday and talked about paid ads and also buying sites as well. And you've been crushing it for so long in paid ads with your agency, and I just want to dive into that. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Thanks. So now a lot of people listening to this are like, all right, Jaryd, like my goal is to buy a website and build it and scale it and replace their income. Typical journey of why a lot of people want to come to the internet to make money. Now, looking at buying content websites, and then we've got a big bunch of people looking at buying e-commerce websites. But for somebody that's just wanting to dip their toe in the water and start off slowly with ads, like pay per click ads, where should they start? Should they be testing on a certain platform? Should they be looking into their niche a little bit more for their targeting? Like where would be probably the best place to start?
It's a good question. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I am a big believer on having a bit of presence on multiple platforms.
Mm,
Sort of what we were talking about, record is what I find in the market is like people pick their platform and then they just focus on only that platform exclusively. And whilst that's great because they get results and they do really well and they master one ad platform, they really don't realize that at the end of the day, their customers are on multiple platforms.
mm.
So, to answer your question, where's the best place to start? I'm a big fan of retargeting on multiple platforms, which is kind of why I bring up the whole concept of multiple platforms. So, that's just low hanging fruit, right? Someone's come to your website, they made the terrible mistake of leaving without doing anything. And so, therefore, your ads follow them around on multiple platforms. And that's really one of the perks of getting people to your own website is that the pixels from the Google pixel and the Facebook pixel, both of those pixels on your website, that gives you the opportunity to retarget Google search, Google display, YouTube, Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and all that kind of stuff. And that's just the perfect place to start, to
Yeah.
keep the conversation going with your past website visitors.
Yeah. It's also like this, it's a scary thing when you're going to create ads and it's the first time you're creating ads and you're also like, all right, so who should I target this to as well?
Mm.
But if you got the Google tag or the Facebook pixel on your site or the Twitter or whatever it is, at least when you do start marketing, your ad, I shouldn't say it's not important, but it can be less important because you're already targeting your creative. I'm talking about is already you're already targeting people who've been to your website as well. So you can just say, hey, I saw you checked out this. Are you sure you don't want to get this for a discount code or something like that? And this is something that I teach in my community as well. Is like the first thing you should do is get those tags on or those pixels on. So then you have at least an audience that are going to be the right audience to target to. Would you say that's right?
100%. So, as you sort of alluded to, I've run a PPC agency
Mm,
for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now. And still to this day, the first thing that we do, really, actually, before we do anything else, is implement a retargeting campaign
mm,
on both platforms. In fact, I actually teach this in a course which I've called the paid traffic puzzle, right? Where it sort of goes through all the different targeting things you can do, but at the core of your paid traffic puzzle are the corners of your puzzle, which are retargeting on search, display, YouTube, and social. They're your sort of four corners because they're critical to getting right and getting profitable. So if you implement a retargeting campaign and it's not profitable, be it your past website visitors don't click on your ads and don't buy, I'm not saying all of them, or more like saying any of them,
mm.
then the answer is not to buy more traffic. The answer is to change your retargeting offer for something that resonates with them because retargeting is so cheap, right? It's easy to get profitable. From an
Mm.
agency point of view, like that's my secret weapon. Like I look like a hero really, really easily, right? And so therefore we get that working and then the answer is just more traffic, right? So that's
Yeah.
why it's the perfect starting point for anyone who, let's say, is buying a business. Just, get that up and running. And often what people don't realize is they maybe buy a site or build a site and don't put the pixels on their website because they say, well, I don't want to run any ads. And that's fine, right? You don't have to, but install the pixels now so that you've got an audience ready and waiting for you when and if you want to start. So I kind of, use the analogy of like pressing record, installing
Yeah.
those pixels is like pressing record, recording something that you can then rewind and play back or rewind and access those past visitors. If you don't install the pixels, you haven't pressed record, right?
Yeah, it's also so valuable, I find, in an investing sense that if I'm going to go away and buy a site that you've been building up, Alana, but you haven't started putting ads, you're targeting ads to it, but you've had your Google tag on there for a year, and you've had your Facebook tag on there for a year, and maybe your Twitter one. Now, if I come in and I'm a gun PPC marketer on either of those platforms, that's a huge opportunity for me. And that person who's selling the website could get a higher multiple, they could get a higher price for the business when they're working with possible seller to purchase that business or possible buyer to purchase that business because they know that that's an opportunity there. So those of you who like are flipping sites and listening to this, even if your strategy isn't to go all in on paid ads and you're going to do some organic search marketing, even if you were to just put your pixels on the site and sell it in a year's time, there's going to be you're leaving something on the table for somebody else, and that's really attractive.
Mm.
And I think that's a huge thing to think about as well.
Definitely, especially if those sites get a lot of organic traffic. The amount of data that's going through these pixels, like a lookalike audience just based on past website data, like would be killer. Like that's all you'd probably need to do, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought that up because it segues into the question I have next for you about, these content websites that have so much organic traffic and so much data coming to them and they're monetized by affiliate links and, ads. Have you had much experience in doing some remarketing ads for content websites? And a lot of people listening are like, I love content websites and they're so good at SEO and content creation. But I feel like if they've got a really good affiliate link that provides them a great commission, but also massive value to the user who purchases from that affiliate link. Be kind of crazy not to have some sort of remarketing campaign for something like that. Wouldn't you agree? Or do you feel or disagree? Or yeah.
Look, I mean, I would say it's a no. no-brainer from little do I know about the margins of the affiliate income,
Yeah.
etc. Personally, I'm a massive fan of doing retargeting to get people on a database, and
Mm,
then from there you can promote multiple affiliate offers, etc. That probably would be my preferred option, but because, direct linking from ads to affiliate stuff might not be entirely compliant. Ad platforms don't really, really like that.
mm.
So for me, like the holy grail is to build that database, and therefore what I would see a good use of retargeting is, some kind of lead magnet getting people to join the database, and then from there it's affiliate.
Yeah, yeah, cool. I like that. I like getting them on your email list. The reason I like that is because you don't have to any longer pay any more money to put anything in front of those people anymore, right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because actually I am a big fan of combining ads with email marketing.
Oh, bring that on. We need to talk about that.
Yeah, so we all know email open rates are not 100%. We'd like
Yeah.
them to be, but they're
Mm.
not. And so yeah, let me just kind of give you an example. So I had a
Yeah.
client that, believe it or not, was in the dog training industry, which is funny because it's like the classic example that internet marketers use as a niche, or a niche for American listeners, right? But they really were. Anyway, so we were running ads for what's called, a PLF style funnel, which is the product launch formula, free video course, blah, blah, blah. And they opt in for video one, and then they emails kicks in for video one, two, and three, and then an offer on sort of day four, right?
Mm.
And they were spending a lot of money, so we were buying a lot of traffic, and we simply combined ads with the email marketing within that funnel, right? So
Cool.
combined Facebook ads for when the offer goes out on day four, right?
Yeah.
And we got a massive boost, A, in sales, but B, amazing byproduct that we got were people who were going through that sales funnel, right? And these guys providing massive value were then sharing that final offer that was on day four. So they were
Mm.
seeing the Facebook ad and then hitting that share button and going, so and so, you got to check this out. These guys are awesome, right? Which was like the whole
Helping you
point.
go viral.
And we
Yeah.
go, yeah, exactly. So we got all these extra sales because no one's going to forward an email, to all their contact lists. I mean, how would you even do that? It'd be no one's going to do that in this day and age.
Yeah.
But they'll
Nobody forwards emails anyway. Like, it's pretty rare.
It's pretty rare, right?
Unless it's a business document to your accountant, which
Pretty
is what I
much,
do. Yeah.
yeah. Or like, "Hubby, can you pay this bill?" kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But they'll easily hit that share button on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we were getting that bottom of funnel final offer, which was the whole point of why we created this sales funnel, was for that
Mm.
bottom of funnel offer. People were sharing. I wanted to give these people a hug, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like literally $10 a day for an increase in the ad spend,
Mm.
but more than paid for itself.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I like that strategy a lot. And I like to go deep into the psychology of why would people share and why would people not share. And I think the intention is very different on email than it is to on Facebook. So for those who, emailing, our intention is like not to get on in our email and go, oh, this is cool, I'm going to share this with everybody. Like for me personally, it's like, I want to get back to inbox zero ASAP and
Mm.
just get out of my inbox, right? But people go on Facebook for a different reason, and it's actually a sharing platform. So, like, what I see is that it's easier. Like, people share my posts and share my ads, much as like what they do with yours and your clients as well. And I think it's just like the barrier to share is so low or non-existent on Facebook. It's the norm. But the other reason I like this strategy is because, like you said, email open rates aren't 100%. Like, a lot of people's email open rates are decreasing if you don't know how to do email marketing very well. And like, I send great emails to a lot of people in my community, and they're paying members, and they just not opening it, even though they're paying. And they're just like, oh, well, it's just not something that's top of mind right now. But when they're, have got 5-10 minutes a day on Facebook, then they can see this and go, oh, wow, look, I don't want to miss out on that. But when they don't open an email, they can't see, they don't know what it is about. But on Facebook, it's right there in front of you. And I like that it just grabs attention and keeps it top of mind for people.
Absolutely. And I mean, these day and age, if you get an email open rate of 50%, like that's really good, which means
Mm.
50% are not opening your emails, you know,
Still
and
massive.
it's still massive, right?
Yeah.
So, and then so if that person maybe didn't open the email, saw the email, thought, yeah, whatever, I'm busy, I'll get to it later. Then they, in their Facebook newsfeed, see that same offer and they see all this social proof. They see all these people sharing it. They see people tagging, hey, you got to get on this. It's awesome, blah, blah, blah. They get a bit of FOMO as well.
Yeah.
So it's a great way also to get that social proof.
So that was a
For
digital product, I guess, that campaign. But do you have any examples? Because I know there's people that are buying e-commerce websites and they're thinking about like, all right, cool, I need to learn how to do, optimize the ads that are already being done for this business.
mm,
What's a common sort of theme? And I'm talking about physical products, and it could be basketballs, drink bottles, any sort of household items, garden items around the home sort of niche. Is there a go-to sort of marketing funnel or process that you would have? Would it be working out what the message is first, doing some remarketing, and then doing cold ads?
is the question sort of what's low hanging fruit?
Yeah, what's the low hanging fruit for, somebody who wants to optimize site or using paid ads, either on Facebook or Google?
It really depends on the product, obviously, and what problem they're sort of solving. I mean, lowest hanging fruit for e-commerce would be a shopping cart abandonment campaign.
Yeah.
Someone's gone to their site, they've added something to their cart and they didn't complete their purchase. So doing sort of that dynamic retargeting of,
Mm,
shopping cart abandonment is a classic one. Any kind of retargeting campaign, even if somebody doesn't add something to their cart, getting people back with some kind of discount, subscribe and get 10% off, all that kind of stuff.
mm,
I'm a big fan of Google Shopping for e-commerce. I think it works incredibly well. But of course it's got to be profitable. But in terms of, yes, those sort of re-engagement strategies are a good low-hanging fruit. Lots of people do like giveaways and stuff like that, but I just find you can get sort of a low quality customer, someone who's just trying to get a giveaway and join the database and never actually
mm.
gonna. So that's kind of why for e-commerce, I really do the Google side of things, just because there's so much intent on Google.
Yeah.
Someone's literally gone to Google and typed in, and because I'm looking in your background, indoor house plants or
Yeah.
something, online. I mean, like that's just massive intent there.
Yeah, that's right. Like, I think a lot of people, when they think advertising and they're first like, all right, cool, I'm going to do some paid ads, they think of Facebook ads. And I think the reason why is because it's just so massive. But I feel they forget that key thing that you're mentioning is that the intention of people on Google and the difference between that and the intention of people on Facebook. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a difference between Facebook and email as well. But when people go on Facebook, they're not there to buy things. They're not searching for a product to buy. They're searching to see what's going on in their network, what's going on in their world, and maybe kill a bit of time. Feel like sometimes, and especially for me, the last thing that I want to see is an ad on Facebook for a product, right? But on Google, when I go to Google or when I'm going to buy something online, and I mostly only buy online anyway, is I'm going to Google and I type in the top of the search bar the product that I want, and then I click on the shopping tab in Google. I'm hunting for that, and it's so much easier to make a sale. And
Oh my
that's
god,
why I
yeah,
love Google for e-commerce.
100%. And yet, I don't know, maybe I think people get quite scared by Google. Maybe they've tried it and they've been burnt in the past
Mm,
because they didn't quite know what they're doing. And yes, there is a bit of a learning curve with it, but the rewards are great, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. So I've noticed you've got two awesome resources that people need to go away and check out. And, 10 mistakes people are making on Google, 10 of the top most mistakes people are making on Google, and then also 10 of the top mistakes people are making on Facebook. What would be the top three mistakes people do make on Google with their ads and their
Oh
marketing?
god, they make so many mistakes. Honestly, like I got to like I've audited hundreds, if not thousands, of Google ad accounts. And actually, in my membership at Teach Traffic, I audit people's accounts, like members' accounts, for free. So I literally audit accounts like every day of the week.
Wow.
And I have seen some shockers. Let's just say that. But anyway, but the classic, it's like mistakes that people make is that they have, okay, first of all, is they don't implement conversion tracking, right? So the classic thing that people say is, I've spent all this money on ads and I've got no idea if it's working or not.
Yeah.
And that's a sign that they have not taken the extra step to set up conversion tracking. So that is what's going to give you the transparency to see that, hey, I spent $2, but I made 6, and therefore let's increase budget, or it's losing money and we need to fix something and
Mm.
diagnose some issues. Okay. So that's kind of classic mistake number one. Number two is they don't have proper structure in their account. And what I mean by that is, so if you think of like a hierarchy, at the top you've got your campaign, and then within your campaign you have what's called ad groups.
Yeah.
And then within your ad groups, you have your keywords and then your ads, right? So the classic mistake that people make is they create one campaign, they create one ad group, and they put about 300 keywords in that one ad group, like unrelated keywords to each other, and they wonder why their account is not working. Yeah, it basically fails.
I had that happen to me, and I didn't structure this up, but I bought a business that was already using Google Ads, and they had, two campaigns, but each had just like a million keywords. And I had to go away and exclude so many, like constantly all of the time. And it wasn't until I realized, like, only like maybe a year ago, I'm like, all right, I need to have the ad group, the ad set, and the ad level. And it's the same in Facebook as well. Like, you've got
Mm,
the three different levels. Yeah, I think structure is really important. And I mentioned that
yeah,
in my group as well.
yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
thing is, if you think about it, ad groups are called ad groups for a reason. It's because the ad that is attached to that group, right? So if you have 300 unrelated keywords in the one ad group, only one ad will be shown for all those 300 keywords. So you're going to get terrible what's called ad relevance,
Mm,
because you've got all these keywords and only one ad will be shown to it. So actually,
yeah.
literally yesterday I was auditing an account for a guy in my community, and they sell meat online, right?
Right.
Oh no, this is in the States. I've seen it all, let me tell you. And he kind of was making that classic mistake. And so the traffic was going to the wrong places because
Mm,
you couldn't send people to category pages by having them lumped together, essentially. Yeah. So that's kind of classic mistake number two. Classic mistake number three, people be combining the search network with the display network. So there's pretty much like four main parts to the Google ad platform. There's Google search, display, YouTube, and shopping. Okay. And
yeah.
the default settings are set up such that they combine, Google sneakily combines the search network with the display network. So you need to deselect one of those platforms. I'm not saying not to run display ads, they're awesome, but you want to separate them out into separate campaigns. Actually, probably a better lead magnet to, not lead, like an ebook that I've got a Google Gotcha guide, basically, which is
Oh,
all
cool.
the gotchas. So
We'll
maybe we
put a
can link
link to that. Yeah.
put a link to that.
Thanks
Yeah,
so much. That's awesome.
for that exact reason. There's so many little sneaky settings that Google do, which is why I called it the gotcha guide.
I think people get into marketing and there's so much that they haven't learnt yet. And they just go put some money into ads just to test it out and see if it works. But like what you're saying in this last bit is, if you've got too many like ads with different intentions and you're not testing them against each other, you're not going to know what works. But also, for that first mistake that you mentioned, is people haven't set up the right conversion tracking. You're not going to know what works either. So like people may not sell any products, but they may have been really, really close to, or they may have not sold the amount of products they want to through their ads when they're testing. They're not, they're testing it out, but they're not looking at the tracking and seeing what's working and what's not working. So they don't actually know what their ROI is. So I
Mm,
feel like, for me personally, I feel like that's where I think most people should start, is like before you even get into the weeds of like creating ads and targeting and all that sort of stuff is like work out how the system's going to work and how you can track that to make sure you can see if you're going to get a good result or not.
Absolutely. And I'd also want to mention, like, you're not going to hit it out of the park straight away. Like, it's rare. And even as somebody who runs an agency, and this is my bread and butter, and we do this for a living, even we don't hit it out of the park straight away. I've
Yeah.
got actually a recent client where brought on, and the first month, the ads were unprofitable because we're buying data, we're testing what's working. And so most people might throw their hands in the air and go, I give up. Google Ads doesn't work for my business. It's bleeding me money. Just think, I'm buying data. How can
Yeah.
you decipher and drill down on what is working so that you can double down on that? How can you work out what's not working so you can cut that ad spend, and it will turn around? It's just, you just got to hold tight and tweak and optimize, and not give up too quickly, because it's definitely not set and forget.
I love that term of buying data and understanding at the start that's all you're basically doing.
Mm.
And most people don't know that. So thanks for dropping that. What would quickly before we go, what would be the top three Facebook mistakes or Facebook ad mistakes people would be making in Facebook? I'm sure I'm going to be a culprit here.
I find they also don't set up conversion tracking. That would be double counting. So we don't have to take that as one of them, but heaps of people don't do that.
Mm.
I've encountered heaps of accounts that haven't installed the Facebook Pixel on their site. And so they're buying Facebook ads without having a
Oh
tracking
man.
pixel. I'm like, it's just crazy. Anyway, I think the big mistake people make is they write really boring ads. Like, they just go straight for the sale. They don't
Yeah.
add any value. And Facebook is a social network. It's social, and therefore you've got to write an engaging ad, like a story,
Mm.
so they don't lead with value in that respect, and you get all this potential ad copy that you can have above your image or video ad that you can utilize to your disposal, and you can
Mm.
tell a story and you can engage people. And yeah, so you look like you're about to say something on that.
I just think of, building real I think people forget that it's like really you've got to slowly start to build that relationship. And if you don't want to call it a relationship, it's, bottom line is it's trust. Like
Mm.
if you've never seen this product or this brand or this person or service online or anywhere, and then straight up they're like, here, buy this now, awesome discount, you're going to be like, I don't know who you are. I don't know why I would buy from you. Like, and you're not even, like you said in the ad, you're not giving me value. You're not teaching me why I should have this product or service.
And you're not engaging with me. You're not
Mm,
engaging in a conversation with me. And people go
yeah.
there for entertainment and to engage with their friends and to comment and stuff like that. So you've got to be engaging and conversational. The other mistake I see people make is that they have like no structure. So I use the analogy of this, where, like, say you're walking down the street, out, like, back in the olden days when we used to go to shops pre-COVID,
The strip.
the strip. Say you're walking down there, right? And you walk into a shop, and as soon as you walk into a shop, the shop assistant stops in front of you and says, "Hey, do you want to buy this shirt?" Right? You'd be like,
Yeah.
whoa, like, I just walked into the shop. Like, I want to look around a little bit. And then I might find one or two shirts that I want to maybe try on. And then maybe once I've tried it on, then I might start to consider buying it. But like, I've
Yeah.
literally stepped one foot in the shop. Like, why would I? I'm not ready to buy now.
Yeah.
And so people treat their Facebook or social ads kind of like that, you know? So,
Yeah.
and therefore, you need some kind of structure and funnel to warm people up to your products, get them on a retargeting or an engagement list, and then engage them with maybe some, the next step, rather than just going straight for the sale.
Yeah. Like you can just burn bridges then as well. Like if you're paying for traffic or paying to put ads in front of traffic and you're trying to get them into your store, but you just burnt a bridge, like they're never going to come back if they see you again, even when you do your remarketing.
Exactly. I find people also use the same ads over and over again. And so people just like from a retargeting point of view, they don't look at the frequency metric. So I just get served the same ad over and over again, which just actually personally makes me really, really annoyed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of another mistake people make. I see people don't moderate comments. And so therefore there's all these awful comments on there that are just not managed. And yes, you're going to get your trolls, but either hide them or respond to them. I personally like negative comments because it's an opportunity to engage and kind of, you know,
Turn them
overcome
around.
people's objections that because
Yeah.
if one person's saying it, other people are thinking it. So great. I'm so glad you brought that up. Here's kind of my rebuttal to that. And it's a
Yeah.
great way of kind of engaging with people like that.
That's a great little tidbit to not run away from a possible opportunity. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so I like to do that. I do find actually like Facebook is a very forgiving ad platform. And what I mean by that is like you can make the classic mistake of like showing ads to your existing customers. So, say for the shirt, say you did end up buying the shirt, right?
Yeah.
Therefore you're on a retargeting list because you've come to the website, but the advertiser made the mistake of not excluding the people who've actually purchased from their retargeting ads. And therefore the shirt that you just bought, you then continually see after you've purchased, right? So that would be a classic mistake that people would make. But I find on social that it can actually be a positive thing because if you
Oh,
love that
cool.
shirt, right, you'd be like, oh my God, so and so, I bought this shirt. It's so comfy. I love it. Going to buy more. And suddenly that ad is like transformed. And actually, that's a strategy that I often teach people is for a period of time to show ads to your customers to get good social proof and then use that ad to cold audiences.
Oh, I like it. I like that. That's awesome.
And if you have a good product, people are generous with their comments. Like if you have a bad product, you'll get vitriol. But if you have a good product, they will want to shout it from the rooftops. And I know I do, you know.
Yeah. For those listening, it's like you don't do it with every single product. Obviously, test it out with your best product that you're very confident that
Mm,
people will, give you a good feedback. So that's
yeah,
absolutely awesome. We could keep going on for another 3 hours, I think.
I think so. I would say one last thing on Facebook is like people write ads like it's an ad. And that's kind of the big advice I give people, especially with advertising on social, is you can't write an ad that feels like an ad. People just get that icky feeling if they think, oh, I'm being sold to here, don't like it, don't want it. So kind of goes back to the first point of like leading with value. Just write an ad so it doesn't feel like an ad. We do actually a lot of long copy ads and we find long copy works incredibly well.
Yeah, story ads where, like
Yeah.
you said before, engaging. So that's so great. I think might have to have you come back again
No
to just
worries.
share
Love to.
the rest of our 3 hour chats.
We're just breaking up our 3 hour chats. First hour was on my podcast. Now the second hour is on yours.
Yeah, yeah. It's been absolutely excellent having you. Where can people find out more about you? And I'll get you to send me that link as well for those mistakes people make as well.
Yeah, sure. Probably best place is teachtraffic.com. That's sort of my online community, or greenarrowdigital.com for agency stuff.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. And for everybody that's listening, please do myself and your friends a massive favor. And if people are looking at doing either Google ads or Facebook ads, find those two to three people that you feel that wanting to go down that route and want to get better at digital marketing and pay-per-click marketing, and share this episode with them. So they can not only just find more about this podcast, but Ilana's podcast, what she does, and they can learn at the same time. So please do a massive favor to everybody and share this episode. For those who are listening and do feel that this has been very valuable as well, please let us know what you liked about it in a review, and we can bring more awesome topics and guests to the show like Ilana. So thanks so much, guys, and I'll speak to you on the next one.